this, Lexi. If you're not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not, but I listen to everything they say, right? What do you make of it? How does a guy who's 74 years of age go from walking out to a helicopter going like this, and then 2 days later say bye-bye hospital, and suddenly now he's back on the campaign trail? How does that happen? Good drugs?
Probably good drugs, but I mean, well, I have a tiny bit of experience working with COVID recovery patients. Yeah, so
do you really?
yeah, because when I actually volunteered over the COVID period, so I do know that the infection time to the severity of it and all that, it's pretty different from person to person. But I think if you're not a conspiracy theorist, I'm pretty sure they're going to say that it's really expensive medicines or the top grade medical care. But then again, in 2 to 3 days, it's kind of difficult because it doesn't sound quite. It's like getting a normal flu. If you have a little sniffle, it could be 3 days. Maybe he just got the flu and said it was COVID. I don't know. It could just be a normal flu and he says, "Oh, I think I got COVID," and that's just create some distraction. So
does it matter at the end of the day? Where are we sitting on it from a fundamental point of view? And I guess it's not the only game in town, is it? But it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. But I think it really depends on the swing states, because it's not as simple as getting numbers of votes, because I have been kind of trying to learn a little bit more about this election. So even though Biden is really leading in the polls right now, but it really is anything can happen, because if he can convince the swing states, which means the neutral states, and those are the areas that count, he might just still get his second term. So it really is a 50-50. I'm not going to bet against him.
Okay, 50-50.
Yeah,
I think
I'm still pretty 50-50.
A little bit more bent than that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
let's put that aside.
So, yeah.
What are you seeing? What are you seeing for the next week? What can we rely on?
Right. So I'm gonna just show screen, and we're gonna talk a little bit about let's just see this. Okay, so we're gonna talk about COVID recovery, just talking about the government as a whole, because what's going to happen is the new bill that got the US dollar really dropping quite a bit. And that was the main reason the US dollar just dipped down despite this being an election month. But I think the view in the forward, looking forward, is really about a reset. It's which country can get the best way forward and recover from COVID is the country that will start to perform a little bit better. So an example would, like this is for New South Wales, they actually have things like COVID recovery plans, how they're going to build their economy towards the next phase. So I think it really is now the race to recovery is about whether or not they can change fast enough, whether or not they can divert their resources away from tourism, away from travel, into areas that that can support economy. And these are that can change. The faster they can change, the faster they'll get ahead. I'm sure when tourism is going to come back, when planes, when cruises, ships, and all that will start to whether when holidays are going to restart, it's really a huge question mark. So for businesses to survive this, for countries whose economy depends on tourism, a large part to survive this, it really is in the next phase on how they're going to divert all these resources to the other areas of their domestic consumption. And that's where the next curious thing for me to look at is what each country is doing internally, or how they're diverting their so-called different sectors, to move forward into the next stage. So that's the thing that I'm curious about. Like, what's Australia doing now? I mean, Australians can they travel interstate? Can they travel out of state? Where can
look,
they go?
A few of us can.
Yeah.
Lexi, we can go. Tassie, you can't come to Tassie at the moment. yay, I'm a Tassie guy, right? You can't go to Western Australia, I don't think, but you can go interstate as long as you're not from Victoria at the moment. And it's kind of complex. There are a few states who are accepting others, and there are other states like Western Australia and Tasmania at the moment, but that's only for another couple of weeks, and then the borders will be relaxed for those who are eligible, which don't include Victoria, obviously, and New South Wales are under watch. So it depends on what happens in New South Wales, as you're talking about right now, as to whether they'll be allowed to come into Tassie and Western Australia. But apart from that, there have been border relaxations, yes.
Yeah, so I think it's really, I mean, for the bigger countries, they're really lucky because they can at least travel interstate eventually. But I think like Singapore, you know, we're pretty much stuck here. There's no other state to go to. It's just Singapore, north, south, east, west. You know, we can't even go into Malaysia, our neighbor. So, and that is a huge chunk of, money just stuck in here, not flowing out, and things like that.
Can I put it back to you,
Yeah.
Lexi? That is that not an opportunity? Is that, let's look at Trump's ideal, for instance. Trump's ideal was, okay, let's make America great again, which means that manufacturing goes back to the US versus China, or Taiwan, or wherever goods are made these days, right? But basically China.
Yeah.
Let's promote an economy within our own economy that says manufacturing is primarily what we need to do. We need to manufacture our own goods, create our own economy. Has COVID not knocked on that door? In not just the US, in all other, in every other. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay there.
Yeah, but not every economy has the. For example, Singapore, we are very service based.
Not resource based. That's right.
We're focused mainly on so that we're not strong in it. Have the space and the factories to do this. They could pretty much sustain, and not just that. We're talking about particularly, I think, locally in Singapore and also Malaysia. A lot of our spending power comes from people coming in to invest, people coming in to spend, and with this whole chunk of because we're just relying on local local consumption. So depends on
Lexi, I'm not sure if
you're in, I think
you're on a
whether or not
connection, or if it's generally me. Is anyone else having struggles listening to Lexi? She seems to be cutting in and out. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Lexi, I think you've got a problem. And therefore, I think we will just change from Lexi to myself. Lexi, you've got a bad connection, I think. So let's